Hey everybody, just a quick reminder, 9:30 a.m. tomorrow morning, there will be a Compass Care kind of live video where they're going to share a little bit of the stories and some of what's gone on with them. You're welcome to join that. It's in your email. Check your emails and all the links that you want and all that information is being emailed out to you quite often. So take a look at that. Now, I wonder if we were going to rank maybe some of the hardest things that there are to do in life. How high up admitting when you're wrong would end up on that scale? You might be thinking right now, oh, it's not that hard to admit when you're wrong. But listen, I'm married, okay? And I am wrong all the time. And it sure is hard to say to somebody, I'm wrong, and not add something at the end of that like, but if you would have done such and such, I wouldn't be as wrong. Well, right now, in the time we're living in, there's so many different approaches to how to handle the coronavirus that's out there. Sweden is taking an approach that's quite a bit different than that of America. And if it works out for them, can you picture America saying, hey, great job, guys, we were wrong in how we handled it? Or if it goes poorly for Sweden, can you picture Sweden saying that they were wrong? Even from state to state inside of our country, can you picture a governor who opens early, or a governor like we have going on in New York State who's taking a far more cautious approach and is prolonging openings? Can you picture one of them ever saying, well, I have to be honest with you, I think the other governors were right and they took the better approach? I know, you're thinking, that's probably the funniest thing I've said in any of these video blogs up to this point. But listen, before we go condemning them, you might want to think back maybe on your life at the times when maybe you were wrong but really didn't want to admit it, or maybe just didn't admit it. So let me close you on a little secret. You know what the best way is to not have to admit that you're wrong? Credit someone else when you're right. All right, there's your advice for the day. I'm not sure it's really good advice. Honestly, I'm not even sure that it's advice at all. But I can tell you this, it's at least partially true. Those who credit others for what is right are less likely to boldly jump into the dark and unmasked territory of being a know-it-all. And know-it-alls have a very high percentage of being wrong, simply because they talk too much. Now, we're still in the book of Daniel, and that's what led me to this thought. And you have to think about the approach that Daniel took with King Nebuchadnezzar when he interpreted the dream for the king, the one that would save so many lives. When Daniel interpreted it, I want you to think about that approach. Here we go. Daniel chapter 2. We're going to start in verse 25 and just read a little bit, and then I'm going to go to another section. Arioch took Daniel to the king at once, and he said to the king, I have found a man among the exiles of Judah who can tell the king what his dream means. Well, the king asked Daniel, also called Belteshazzar, are you able to tell me what I saw in my dream and interpret it? And Daniel replied with these words, no wise man, enchanter, magician, or diviner can explain to the king the mystery he's asked them about. But there is a God in heaven who reveals mysteries. And he has shown King Nebuchadnezzar what's going to happen in the days to come, and your dreams and visions that pass through your mind as you are lying on the bed are these. And then Daniel goes in and he explains all of the dreams and the visions. And then in verse 45, the middle part of that verse, he says this after explaining all the dreams, he says to Nebuchadnezzar, the great God has shown the king. Not Daniel. The great God has shown the king what will take place in the future. The dream is true and its interpretation is trustworthy. Well, then King Nebuchadnezzar fell prostrate Can you picture that? He fell prostrate before Daniel, and he paid him honor and ordered that an offering and incense be presented to him. And the king said to Daniel, surely your God is the God of gods and the Lord of kings and a revealer of mysteries, for you are able to reveal this mystery. And then the king placed Daniel in a high position and lavished a bunch of gifts on him, and he made him ruler over the entire province of Babylon and placed him in charge of all its wise men. Moreover, at Daniel's request, the king appointed Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego administrators over the province of Babylon, while Daniel himself remained at the royal court. Daniel, over and over again in his life, credits God with everything that he knows is right or everything he does right. And man, does that just bode well for Daniel and his friends, really. I mean, it bodes good for them too. And I bet that because of this, Daniel just didn't have to admit to being wrong very often. Because Daniel always credited God for wisdom, and he learned the art of asking God before he spoke. And thereby, he probably just didn't say that many wrong things. Seriously, crediting someone else when you are right won't really make it easier for you to admit when you are wrong. But what it will actually do is this. It'll lessen the amount of times that you stick your arrogant neck out there. And therefore, it will lessen the amount of times that you're actually wrong. And for some of us, if we ever admit we're wrong, people will probably fall prostrate in front of us like Nebuchadnezzar did for Daniel, but I think probably for a totally different reason. So you might want to make sure, before you go admitting that you're wrong, that people are sitting down, or at least you lay a soft mat out for them, because they're probably going to be a little bit shocked. But hopefully we can do some things that will put us in a position where we don't have to admit we're wrong so often. Hey guys, we'll see you tomorrow.